Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage and the Opel Ascona, which is on the road, and I'm not breaking the law currently. It's actually MOT'd and road legal with freshly cut number plates and all that. It passed the MOT without any issues at the second attempt. So now it's all right. And this is the first real test drive, and the weather is awesome, so it couldn't be much better. So that's nice. So first of all, thank you, Jakob and Anne, for letting me revive this car. This has been a lot of fun. It wasn't supposed to be as involved as it turned out to be, which is it's always the case, but we really thought that it would pretty much just be an engine service, change of the locks and barrels and so on, because they were wrecked, and then just a overhaul of the brakes and so on. But it got a little bit more involved than that. There was some rust that couldn't be ignored once we actually knew it was there. So this will be the end of the line for me, at least. There's still some minor stuff that could be nice to fix on this one, but to keep the cost down a little bit, it's going to be up to the next owner to do the rest of the cosmetic. It's pretty much just cosmetic stuff. It's just scratches and paint work that needs to be fixed, and cleaning of the interior and so on. Or when the radio is not working, for instance. Small minor stuff. The mechanical bits of this car is just very nice now, and the body, although it was rusty where I repaired it underneath the footwell, is in very good condition. So this is probably one of the last Opel Asconas in my country in this kind of a condition, unless it's been totally restored, and this has not been totally restored, by the way. And just to those of you who have a hard time with the stuff not being completely straight in line and so on, I know some of you have some issues with that. I'm not one of those. But yes, the steering wheel is crooked. It's not straight. The car is tracking perfectly straight. So I think the alignment on this car was done with the steering wheel in the wrong position, or maybe someone took the steering wheel off for some reason and put it on crooked. If it was my car, I would just take it off, turn it a bit and put it back on. But there's nothing wrong with the car. It's just the steering wheel a little bit slanted to the side, and I'm not the kind of person who even take notice of that. So, but I know some of you guys will be just yelling at the screen at the moment. But sorry, it is what it is. I never owned an Opel in my life. And to be honest, I am more of a French hot hatch and Italian weird cars. I like cars to be a little bit different. I like it when manufacturers did stuff a little bit different, like Citroen's suspension setup, for instance, Renault's talking dash on the Renault 25, and just that the cars are done a little bit different than what you expect when you go and sit in them. And I gotta say, Opel, and maybe I'm just not noticing it, but they don't really do anything different. It's just a car. It's a perfect example of a usable daily car from that era, of course. Everything is just done as you expect it to, and everything is just very well done, to be honest. And I don't mean that in any kind of luxury way or something, but it's just everything works. Every button is where you would expect it to be, and it's just a very, very basic car. I would be bored quite quickly, I think. I really enjoy driving this, and it's a lot of fun to try, but I gotta be honest that I think I would be bored driving this quite quickly, because there's just nothing that is really special and you want to tell people about on this car. It's just a very, very, very good car, but there's not really any party pieces anywhere. Maybe I'm missing it, I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with the fact that this is a 4-speed, which I shouldn't really have, because to be honest, it should have been a 5-speed. We are in the middle of the 80s, and it's a 4-speed with a 90 horsepower engine. It should have had another gear, but it's actually a lot of fun to just drive a 4-stick again. Even though I have a lot of old cars, I actually don't have a lot of cars with only 4 speeds. And honestly, I also like the engine. I think it's peppy. It's like it's coming to life. I did do a test drive on this when I got it, but it wasn't really up to. It wasn't really fresh back then. It was lacking the service that I have done now, and it's actually picking up and going quite nicely now. We're getting to the dam again in a second. I think I'm gonna do a 0 to 80 test on that, because that's the speed limit, and just to show you how it's pulling itself. Oh, take a look at this view, by the way. Don't know how much you can see, but it's a nice view. I'm gonna do a 0 to 80 test. I'm just gonna come to a complete standstill, and then I can put a timer on. Let's go. That's 80. I actually had a small misfire in first gear. So probably not as fast as it could be, but it's pulling itself quite nicely, I think. This car got the quite notorious carburetor. Off the bat, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a automatic choke. And the year after this, I think they went back to the manual choke. Actually, this choke is known to cause a lot of problems, but I have gotten it to work just fine. It works perfectly when it's cold, and it shuts itself off and so on. But just to give you an example of the issues that you could experience with one of these cars, before I went to the MOT, it was quite cold. The engine was completely cold. Then I checked the lighting. I put the car in ignition and tested the indicators and so on. And then when I went to start the car, it just wouldn't idle. I had to keep it on the throttle, and it was bogging down and all that. And then I remembered how that system works, because the thing is, as soon as you put the ignition on, it will start to heat up the bimetal spring on the carburetor, which is which is closing the flap for the choke, and then slowly opening it up by heating itself up with the power from the ignition. So if you put the car in ignition and don't start it, the car won't know, and it will start that heating up cycle. So after a few minutes, it will already start to open the choke, even though the engine would like some choke. So for instance, if you go into your car and put it into ignition, and then just want to find your channel on the radio, or maybe your child just dropped a sandwich on the back seat or something, it will start to heat that up, and it will run like a bag of nails. And unless you know how the system works, you would probably think that it was broken, but it's not. It's just a gimmick of that system, which is not really thought through in my mind. So I can understand they went back to the old school system of just pulling a choke after this one, but it's working just fine. Jakob is going to pick this car up in a week's time, and then he will decide whatever happens to it. I think he's going to sell it, and I'm sure that whoever buys this car is going to have a lot of fun in this car. It's a nice car. It would be the perfect car to go into the classic world. It's a reliable car. Everything works, and yeah, I really hope someone young buys this car who got interest in old cars and just enjoy it. Hopefully use it as a daily. I would really hope that will be the case. I don't think this should be standing in a collection somewhere. I think it should be used and enjoyed, and hopefully someone will learn some skills about welding and fixing stuff on this car. That's my dream for it, and that's pretty much my motivation for reviving cars like this. It's an attempt to pass some enthusiasm on to someone else. I don't know what Jakob is going to ask for this, but I think it's going to be very reasonable. So keep your eye out if you're into a Opel Ascona, which you really should be if you want a usable and practical classic. I could live with this for sure as a daily. It's not letting me down in any way. I enjoy old school interiors, and this is no exception. It's just simple, basic stuff. There's a little knob over here to turn on the lights, and a knob over here, the same style, to turn on the fan. Heated rear window, hazard switch, heater controls, fog lights for the rear. That's it. And then the indicator stalks, of course. It's very basic. There's nothing, there's a lot of blank spots. So this car could have had some more equipment than this, but it's just basic, and basic rolling windows and winding windows and so on. It doesn't got a lot of extra. Someone just spent all the money on the nice engine, the 1.6S with the 90 horsepower. That's a good decision. Many cars in Denmark are the smallest engine option because it's so expensive in taxes and so on. So it's always nice when someone ticked the boxes for just a bit more power. That's really nice. So this will probably be the last video featuring the Ascona for now. It's been a pleasure to fix this one up. It's been a lot of fun. It's been very rewarding to work on this because everything has been pretty easy to do. The rust repair was quite a big one, but actually it wasn't bad, and it felt really good to fix that, to be honest. When we found it, me and Jakob talked about that it was a shame that we didn't notice that from the start, because maybe that would have been a make it or break it moment for this car, because it's not going to be worth a lot, and we wouldn't want to sink too much money into it and so on. And maybe if we knew it from the start, we wouldn't have even started this project. But knowing how it turned out, it's a good thing that we didn't, because this is a really nice little car. It's in very good condition and drives very well. And with not a lot of effort, you can make this look like a very, very nice edition of a Opel Ascona. It got some dents on the rear and some scratches back there that needs to be fixed, and some minor rust issues on the exterior, very, very minor. But fixing those and painting it and doing a good job at that would make this car look very, very nice. And the interior, it just needs a good clean, and it needs the plastic bits around the center or the steering wheel column. That's it. It will be very, very nice. Oh yeah, there's some cracks in the dash. That's of course, but yeah, it's a 40-year-old car. What did you expect? So thank you for watching this revival. It's been a pleasure to do. It's been a pleasure to read all your guys' comments. Yes, I know it's not called an Opel Ascona back in the UK. It's called Vauxhall Cavalier, I think, something like that. But it's the same car. This is exactly the kind of revival that I really like. Not a complete restoration. Just needs a bit of this and a bit of that, and then suddenly you got a good running car, perfectly for daily use. As a classic daily user, of course. This is what I like. I would like to see a lot more like these on the roads. Something that people dare to use instead of mint MGBs and stuff that is just standing in the barns forever and never being used. This is fun, and this makes life a little bit interesting for those who drive it, and also for those who are watching them. It's just like postcards from the past that drives around, and it's nice. It's nice. Thanks for watching. Don't forget you can support me on Patreon. There's a link down below. You can also become a channel member, and very soon you can also buy something from my merch shop, which is opening. Thanks for sticking around, and see you in the next one.